Are the Galaxy Council's terror, humanity's ominous silence. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as the massive obsidian doors swung open. Ambassador Marcus Reed walked forward, the lone human in a sea of alien representatives from over 3,000 worlds. His footsteps echoed across the vast chamber as he approached the central platform. Above him, the Council of Seven, the most powerful beings in charted space, looked down from their elevated positions. High Counselor Valaxis, a towering crystalline entity, raised a glowing appendage. Light refracted through his translucent body, casting prism patterns across the chamber floor. Humanity stands accused of violations against Galactic Peace Accord 447B, weapons development beyond permitted thresholds, unauthorized expansion into restricted sectors, and most concerning, Valaxis paused, his crystalline form pulsing with cobalt light. Complete communications blackout across all human colonies for the past 30 standard cycles. The chamber erupted in murmurs as the evidence displays activated. Holographic screens materialized around the chamber, showing Earth's orbital defenses, followed by images of human colony worlds going dark, one by one. "What say you, Ambassador?" demanded Counselor Threll, a serpentine being whose scales shimmered with barely contained aggression. 6 other council members leaned forward in their seats, representing the oldest and most powerful civilizations in the known galaxy. Marcus stood motionless, saying nothing. The silence stretched uncomfortably long. Representatives from hundreds of worlds shifted uneasily. Some whispered to each other. Others watched with predatory intensity. Finally, Marcus reached into his pocket and placed a small black cube on the platform. It projected a holographic timer counting down from 48 hours. "This is humanity's response," Marcus stated flatly, his voice carrying an unsettling calm. "We will address the Council's concerns when this timer reaches 0. Until then, we have nothing to say." The chamber exploded into chaos as Marcus turned and walked away, ignoring the outraged cries of the Council members. Representatives from dozens of species shouted questions and threats. Some stood up, their translator devices struggling to keep up with the cacophony of alien languages. Outside the chamber, his assistant Eliza met him, her expression grim. "It's done," Marcus whispered. "Operation Silent Shield is in effect," Eliza nodded. "And if they don't back down? Then they'll learn why silence is the last thing they should fear from us." Counselor Valaxis called the emergency session to order 3 hours later. The chamber had emptied of most representatives, leaving only the Council of Seven and their closest advisors. "This human provocation cannot stand," hissed Threll, coiling his long body tighter around his elevated seat. "We should deploy the Guardian fleet immediately." Counselor Mira, a being of pure energy contained within a specialized environment suit, pulsed with disagreement. "The humans have always been compliant before. This behavior is unprecedented." "Precisely why we must treat it as a threat," replied Valaxis. "Director Krell, your assessment?" Director Krell stepped forward. Unlike the others, he appeared almost human, if humans had 4 arms and skin the color of burnished copper. As head of Council Intelligence, he had been monitoring Earth since humans first achieved space travel. "I have warned this council about humanity for decades," Krell said, his voice gravelly. "They smile, they cooperate, they trade, but they watch. They learn. They adapt faster than any species we've encountered." He gestured, and new holographic displays appeared, showing historical data on human technological development. When they joined the Council 70 years ago, they were barely capable of interplanetary travel. Now look at them. Their rate of advancement is... He paused, troubling. "But a communications blackout? What could it mean?" asked Counselor Zira, whose gaseous form swirled within her containment field. Krell touched a control panel, and the display showed a dozen Council scout ships. "We sent these vessels to investigate, none returned. No distress signals, nothing." Krell's 4 hands clenched simultaneously. "And now we have this. Timer? A threat? A deadline? A distraction?" "What about the Mars anomaly?" asked Valaxis. Krell nodded grimly. Our long-range sensors detected unusual activity beneath the Martian surface 2 years ago. Massive energy readings. Construction on a scale we've never seen from humans before. And you're only telling us now? Threll's scales rattled with anger. I submitted 17 reports, Krell replied coldly. The council voted to monitor rather than confront. Uncomfortable silence filled the chamber as the counselors exchanged glances. The timer gives us 45 hours now, said Valaxis finally. Prepare the Guardian fleet, but keep it at our borders. Director Krell, you have authorization to use any resources necessary to determine what humanity is planning. And the human ambassador? Asked Mira. Keep him under observation, ordered Valaxis. But treat him with diplomatic courtesy. Until that timer reaches 0, we must proceed with caution. In his quarters at the Council Diplomatic Complex, Marcus Reed sat alone, staring at a small holographic display showing the same timer that now captivated the Council's attention. Eliza entered without knocking, her security clearance overriding the lock. They're watching us, she said simply. Marcus nodded. Of course they are. Did you deliver the package? Yes. The quantum transmitter is in place. Admiral Jimenez received confirmation 10 minutes ago. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. And Earth? Silent shield protocols are at 97% completion. All colonies report ready status. He stood and walked to the window that overlooked the sprawling council capital. The city stretched, for hundreds of miles in every direction, a testament to the power and age of the galactic civilization that had ruled for millennia. Trillions of beings lived under council authority across thousands of worlds. And humanity, just a tiny fraction of that, with its handful of colonies and single homeworld. They think we're planning war, Marcus said quietly. Eliza joined him at the window. Aren't we? Marcus turned to her, his expression unreadable. No, something far more dangerous. The Mars Project? He nodded. 70 years, Eliza. 70 years of playing the good little newcomers, learning their technology, studying their weaknesses, finding the loopholes in their regulations. And now? Now we show them what humanity is truly capable of. He gestured to the timer. This? This is just theater. The real countdown began the moment we discovered the quantum frequency. Eliza's eyes widened slightly. You mean... Yes, Marcus said. While they're fixated on this countdown, Operation Ascension enters its final phase. Director Krell stood in his private observatory, watching as specialized equipment analyzed data from the Sol system. Something was happening on Mars, something massive. Energy readings unlike anything in Council records pulsed from beneath the red planet's surface. His assistant, a young Valerian named Tix, entered with a datapad. Director, we've detected unusual quantum fluctuations throughout human space. It began shortly after the ambassador presented the timer. Krell took the pad, studying the readings with growing concern. These patterns, they're coordinated, too precise to be natural. He looked up sharply. Has anyone else reported this? Tix hesitated. No, Director. Our quantum monitoring systems are unique. Krell smiled thinly. The Council didn't know about half the surveillance technology he had developed. Some would call it illegal. He preferred necessary precaution. Keep monitoring. I want to know what... He stopped as a new alert appeared on his screen. What is this? Unknown, sir. The signal appeared in our secure networks 10 minutes ago. On the screen was a single line of text. You were right to fear us. Krell stared at the message, a chill running through him. Lock down all networks, trace this immediately. Already tried, sir. The origin point is everywhere and nowhere. It's as if it exists in quantum superposition. Krell's copper skin paled slightly. Impossible. No one has mastered quantum communications to that degree. But even as he said it, his eyes turned toward the distant pinpoint of light that was Sul, and the suddenly very dangerous species that called it home. The timer continued its relentless countdown. 44, 12, 37. The Galaxy Council's terror. Humanity's ominous silence. Part 2, the mood in the council chamber had shifted from outrage to dread as the timer ticked past the 36-hour mark. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered in small clusters, whispering theories and fears. Some had withdrawn their delegations entirely, racing back to their homeworlds to prepare for whatever humanity might be planning. Councillor Valaxis floated at the center of the chamber, his crystalline body pulsing with anxious light. Before him, holographic displays showed the timer Ambassador Reed had left behind, now synchronized with thousands of similar countdowns that had appeared across council space, on communication terminals, in financial systems, even on personal devices. 20,000, announced Director Krell as he entered the chamber. That's how many of these timers have appeared in the last 6 hours. How is this possible? Demanded Councillor Zira, her gaseous form swirling faster within her containment field. Our security protocols are useless, interrupted Krell. Whatever the humans have developed, it bypasses everything we've built. Valaxis dimmed momentarily, the crystalline equivalent of a troubled sigh. What of the human ambassador? Still in his quarters, still saying nothing. Krell's copper face tightened with frustration, but we've detected unusual quantum fluctuations throughout human space. Their colonies may appear silent, but something is happening. Something big. The Mars anomaly? Asked Threll, his serpentine body coiled tensely. Growing stronger. Energy readings beyond anything we've seen from them before. Krell projected new data onto the central display. And there's more. Several council members have received partial technical schematics. Unknown origin. Show me, demanded Valaxis. The display shifted to show fragments of technical diagrams, pieces of what appeared to be an enormous machine or network. What is it? Asked Mira, her energy form pulsing with curiosity. Unknown, admitted Krell. But the quantum signatures match those we're detecting from Mars. Suddenly, all displays in the chamber flickered, then stabilized. The timer reset itself, but not to the original 48 hours. Instead, it now showed precisely 24 hours remaining. They're accelerating the countdown, whispered Zira. No, said Krell, studying his personal datapad with growing alarm. They're telling us they're ahead of schedule. In the guarded diplomatic quarters, Marcus Reed sat across from Eliza, a small game board between them. Ancient wooden chess pieces stood in strategic formation as they played an unhurried game. 2 council security officers watched from the doorway, their postures rigid with tension. They're monitoring our every word, Eliza said quietly, moving her knight. Marcus nodded, studying the board. Of course, but they can't monitor what we're not saying. He tapped his temple slightly, then moved his bishop. Check, Eliza understood the gesture. The quantum neural implants all human diplomats carried allowed instantaneous communication, without detectable signals. Humanity's greatest secret, and the foundation of Operation Silent Shield. Through this silent connection, Marcus received regular updates from Earth. The Mars project was nearly complete. Admiral Jimenez had positioned the defense fleet in a protective formation around the Red Planet. And most importantly, the quantum network had achieved full synchronization across all human colonies. Your move, Marcus said aloud, while silently transmitting, acceleration protocol activated. 24 hours remaining. Eliza moved her queen, blocking his check. Interesting strategy, she remarked, while her thoughts replied, Guardian fleet detected at Proxima Centauri. No aggressive movements yet. The waiting is the hardest part, Marcus said for the benefit of their observers, his fingers lightly tapping the edge of the chessboard in a pattern that looked nervous but was actually a coded message. Phase 2 initiated. Admiral Renata Jimenez stood on the command deck of the EFS Prometheus, Earth's largest battleship orbiting Mars at a safe distance. Through the viewports, she could see hundreds of construction vessels swarming around the massive structure that emerged from beneath the Martian. Surface, status report, she ordered. Commander, Jackson approached with a datapad. Quantum network at 98% synchronization. All colonial defense systems integrated. The Ascension engine is drawing power from all nodes. Jimenez nodded, her eyes never leaving the structure. After 70 years of planning, the truth about humanity's technological development was about to be revealed. The Council had always underestimated them, treating humans as junior partners, restricting their development, limiting their expansion. That was their mistake. Humans had played along, appearing to follow Council regulations while secretly developing technologies the Council had deemed impossible. The quantum frequency discovery had changed everything, allowing instant communication and coordination across any distance without detection. "Admiral," called out the communications officer. "Encrypted message from Ambassador Reed. The Council has detected our quantum fluctuations. Director Krell is asking questions." Jimenez smiled tightly. Krell, always the suspicious one. Too bad he didn't convince the others sooner. "Your orders, Admiral. Proceed as planned. Activate the defensive grid. And prepare a message for all ships. Operation Quantum Dominion begins in 24 hours. On a remote world at the edge of Council space, a team of xenoarchaeologists huddled around an ancient stone tablet. The alien ruins stretched for miles in every direction, the remains of a civilization long extinct. Dr. Leon Abrams, lead researcher for the Council's Historical Preservation Division, traced the strange symbols carved into the black stone. "The translation is rough," he explained to the assembled researchers, "but the warning is clear. Beware the silent predators who walk between worlds. They speak with minds of lightning." Professor Duma, a Taurian with 6 eyes and a reputation for skepticism, shook his broad head. "Another vague warning from a dead civilization. How many is that now? Hundreds?" "This is different," insisted Abrams. "The dating puts this civilization's collapse at approximately the same time as the Xerillian and the Nastvar, both of whom left similar warnings, and both of whom destroyed themselves with their own technologies," countered Duma. "Why should this be different?" Before Abrams could respond, his communication device chimed. He checked it, his expression growing puzzled. "It's a priority message from Director Krell himself," he said, then went silent as he read. "Well?" prompted Duma after a moment. Abrams looked up, his face pale. "He's asking if we found any references to quantum communications or interdimensional travel." The gathered researchers exchanged worried glances. "How did he know?" whispered one. "We only just translated that section." Abrams pointed to the next line of symbols on the tablet, the ones they had translated only hours before. "They whisper across the void, speaking to all minds at once. And when they fall silent, the end begins." Director Krell paced his private observatory, 4 arms clasped behind his back. The quantum fluctuations had intensified over the past hour, and now a new pattern had emerged, a coordinated energy surge throughout human space. "Show me the Mars anomaly again," he ordered. Tix brought up the latest images. What had begun as unusual energy readings beneath the surface had transformed into something visible, a massive structure emerging from the red planet. It resembled nothing in Council records. "Analysis?" Krell demanded. "Unknown technology," admitted Tix, "but energy output is increasing exponentially." A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Krell checked it, his copper skin paling as he read. "The xenoarchaeology team confirmed it," he said quietly. "The ruins on Vesper Prime contain warnings about a species that mastered quantum communication. A species that walks between worlds. Humans?" asked Tix, sounding doubtful. "Or something they've discovered." Krell turned back to the displays showing human space. "I've been watching them for 70 years. They joined the Council as a primitive species, barely able to reach their own moon. Their technological growth has been impossible. Unless they were hiding their true capabilities all along," suggested Tix. "No." Krell shook his head. "I would have known. This is something else. Something they found or developed in secret." His private terminal chimed. A message appeared, text only, origin untraceable. "You were right to fear us, but wrong about why." Krell's 4 hands trembled slightly as he activated the Council emergency channel. "This is Director Krell. Deploy the Guardian fleet to Sol immediately. Whatever the humans are planning happens in 24 hours. As the timer passed the 20-hour mark, Counselor Valaxis called Marcus Reed to a private audience chamber. The human ambassador arrived flanked by Council security, his expression calm. "The Council has voted to deploy our forces to Earth," Valaxis announced without preamble, his crystalline body glowing intensely. "Whatever game you're playing ends now, Ambassador," Marcus smiled slightly. "No game, Counselor. Simply the next step in galactic evolution." "Explain," demanded Valaxis. In 12 hours, replied Marcus. When the timer reaches 12 hours, I will address the full council and explain everything. That's not good enough. Valaxis's voice hardened, crystal edges sharpening throughout his form. Our sensors detect massive energy buildups throughout human space. The structure on Mars is not a weapon, interrupted Marcus, though I understand why you. The Galaxy Council's terror. Humanity's ominous silence. Part 3. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so full. Representatives from all 3,000 member worlds crowded the tiered seating, their varied anatomies creating a living tapestry of galactic diversity. At the center of the chamber stood Ambassador Marcus Reed, calm and poised as the countdown timer behind him showed exactly 12 hours remaining. Members of the Council, Marcus began, his voice amplified throughout the vast space. 70 years ago, humanity was welcomed into your ranks. We were newcomers to interstellar travel, eager to learn, happy to comply with your regulations and restrictions. Murmurs rippled through the assembly as images appeared on the massive displays. Earth's first contact with the Council, the signing of membership treaties, human colonists settling on their first extrasolar worlds. You saw us as primitive but promising, Marcus continued. You restricted our technological development, limited our expansion, and kept us under constant surveillance. The images changed, showing Council observation posts near Earth, inspection, teams examining human technology, and restrictions being placed on human colony worlds. You believed these measures were for our own good, to guide our development along safe, predictable paths. Marcus paused, looking directly at the Council of Seven on their elevated platform. But there was something you never told us. Something you've hidden from every new species that joins your ranks. The chamber grew deathly quiet. You didn't welcome us to guide us. Marcus's voice hardened. You welcomed us to contain us. Director Krell stepped forward from his position beside the council platform. That's enough, Ambassador. These accusations are true, interrupted Marcus. We found the records, Director, in the ruins on Epsilon Indy 4, records of the Council's real first contact protocol. Identify promising species early, integrate them into the Council before they develop true independence, and restrict their growth to prevent them from ever becoming a threat. Gasps and angry shouts erupted throughout the chamber. Councillor Valaxis rose, his crystalline form pulsing with intense light. Order, he commanded, and gradually the noise subsided. Ambassador Reed, these are serious allegations. Even if there is some truth to them, the Council's protocols exist to maintain galactic stability, to prevent the catastrophes that have destroyed civilizations in the past. Like the quantum frequency disaster? Asked Marcus quietly. A visible shock passed through the Council of Seven. Threll's serpentine body coiled tighter, while Mira's energy form flickered erratically. Yes, we know about that too, Marcus continued. How the precursor civilization discovered quantum entanglement communication 5 million years ago. How they built their entire society around it, and how it led to their extinction when the frequency was weaponized. The restrictions exist for a reason, Ambassador, Valaxis said, his voice grave. Some technologies are too dangerous for any single species to control. Marcus nodded. I agree, which is why humanity isn't seeking to control it. He gestured, and the main display changed to show the massive structure on Mars. This is the Mars Quantum Array. For 30 years we've been studying the quantum frequency in secret, not to weaponize it but to understand it. Impossible, Krell broke in. Our observers would have detected such research. Your observers saw what we wanted them to see, replied Marcus. While you monitored our official research facilities, our real work happened elsewhere. In shielded labs beneath the Martian surface, in secret facilities throughout our colonies, and most importantly in the one place you couldn't monitor. He tapped his temple. Human minds. Quantum neural implants undetectable by your scanners, allowing instantaneous communication across any distance. Marcus smiled slightly. That's why we went silent, Director. Not because we stopped communicating, but because we shifted to a method you couldn't detect or intercept. Silence fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. Then Counselor Zira spoke, her gaseous form swirling anxiously. If what you say is true, Ambassador, then what is the purpose of this countdown? What happens when it reaches 0? Marcus looked up at the timer. Emergence, humanity's gift to the galaxy. Before he could elaborate, the chamber's security system blared an alarm. The main display switched to show the Guardian fleet, the Council's most powerful armada, approaching the Sol system. Despite my request for 12 hours, Marcus said, his voice hardening, it seems some among you have chosen aggression. Director Krell stepped forward. A precautionary measure only, Ambassador. The fleet has orders to hold position outside your system. Too late, said Marcus as new images appeared on the display. The Guardian fleet, nearly 100 vessels, strong, now faced an equal number of ships that seemed to have appeared from nowhere. Human ships, their designs unlike anything the Council had seen before. Impossible, whispered Krell. Earth doesn't possess this kind of fleet. We didn't, agreed Marcus, until we completed the quantum materialization technology 6 months ago. Counselor Threll rose, scales bristling with alarm. Materialization? You're claiming you can create matter from energy? Using quantum entanglement principles, yes. Marcus nodded. Those ships weren't built in shipyards. They were created directly from energy, formed according to quantum blueprints stored in our network. The implication struck the assembly like a physical blow. If humans could create matter from energy at will, this is why the Council restricted quantum research, Valaxis said quietly. The precursors destroyed themselves with similar technology. The precursors tried to control the quantum realm, Marcus corrected. We've learned to work with it, not dominate it. There's a fundamental difference. The timer suddenly shifted, counting down faster, now showing just 6 hours remaining. It seems events are accelerating beyond our control, Marcus observed. The Mars array has detected your fleet's approach as a threat. Ambassador, Valaxis's voice carried a note of genuine fear. I implore you to reconsider whatever you're planning. Quantum manipulation on this scale risks catastrophic consequences. Marcus turned to face the entire assembly. For 70 years, the Council has treated humanity as children to be managed and controlled. Today, we demonstrate that we've outgrown your restrictions, but we do not seek conflict. He gestured, and the timer slowed, returning to its original pace. 6 hours, Marcus announced. The Council has 6 hours to withdraw the Guardian fleet and recognize humanity's sovereignty in quantum technology development. Otherwise? Otherwise what, Ambassador? Demanded Krell. Otherwise we proceed with emergence without your participation or approval. Marcus turned to leave the chamber, then paused. The choice is yours. Join us in the next phase of galactic evolution, or be left behind. Admiral Jimenez stood on the command deck of the Prometheus, watching as the Guardian fleet held position at the edge of the Sol system. Before her, 100 quantum materialized vessels, humanity's new defense force, maintained a protective formation. They're scanning us, reported Commander Jackson, trying to determine our capabilities. Let them look, Jimenez replied. They won't understand what they're seeing. The quantum ships represented technology beyond anything the Council had permitted. Hulls formed from entangled particles that could phase shift to avoid damage, propulsion systems that manipulated space-time itself, weapons that could disrupt the atomic bonds of target materials without explosive force. Admiral, called the communications officer, transmission from the Mars array. Emergence protocols have entered final phase. Quantum network synchronization at 99.8%. Jimenez nodded. And the colonial evacuation? Complete, Admiral. All human colonies are secured within quantum bubbles, as per Operation Silent Shield. She turned to look at the view screen showing the Mars array, a massive structure of interlocking rings that now completely encircled the red planet. Energy pulses flowed through the rings in increasingly rapid sequences. 70 years, she said quietly. 70 years of playing by their rules, hiding our true potential, all leading to this moment. Commander Jackson approached, lowering his voice. Do you think the Council will withdraw their fleet? Jimenez shook her head. Director Krell won't allow it. He's feared us from the beginning. And if they attack? She turned to face her second-in-command. Then they learn why humanity's silence was the last thing they should have feared. In his private observatory, Director Krell reviewed all available data on human quantum technology development. The evidence was clear but impossible. In 70 short years, humans had mastered technology that had taken other species millennia to develop. It's not natural, he muttered to his assistant Tix. No species advances this quickly. Perhaps they had help, suggested Tix. The ruins on Vesper Prime. I considered that, interrupted Krill. But there's no evidence of alien intervention. This is something else, something uniquely human. He brought up historical data, showing humanity's development over the past 500 years. While other species evolved gradually, humans showed explosive bursts of technological advancement, often driven by conflict. They thrive on challenge, Krell observed. The more we restricted them, the more they innovated in secret. His terminal chimed with a priority message from the Guardian Fleet Commander. Energy readings from Mars Array. Where's the Galaxy Council's terror? Humanity's ominous silence. Part 4 1 hour remained on the countdown timer when the lights throughout the Council station suddenly flickered and died. Emergency systems failed to activate. Communication devices went silent. Even the personal environment suits that sustained non-oxygen breathing species faltered momentarily before switching to backup power. In the darkness of the Grand Chamber, panic spread quickly. Thousands of representatives from across the galaxy found themselves cut off from their homeworlds, from their governments, from help. After 30 seconds of darkness, a soft blue glow began to emanate from the center of the chamber. The light grew stronger, resolving into a humanoid figure, Ambassador Marcus Reed, or rather, a holographic projection of him, standing 20 feet tall. Members of the Galactic Council. His voice resonated throughout the chamber without any visible amplification technology. You are witnessing the first phase of emergence. What you're experiencing is a controlled quantum field disruption. Your technology has been temporarily neutralized. As he spoke, minimal emergency lighting activated, providing just enough illumination for the assembled representatives to see each other. The Council of Seven remained on their elevated platform, their usual technologies and displays now dark. For decades, your council has operated on the assumption that technological superiority gives you the right to dictate terms to other species. Marcus continued. Today that assumption ends. Councillor Valaxis stood, his crystalline body generating its own faint light. Ambassador, this hostility is unnecessary. The council has governed for the common good of all species for millennia. Has it? The holographic Marcus turned toward him. Tell me, Councillor, how many species have been deemed too aggressive and quarantined to their home systems? How many promising civilizations have had their development artificially stunted because they developed in ways the Council found threatening? Before Valaxis could respond, Director Krell pushed forward through the crowd. This is the proof I've been warning about for decades, he shouted, pointing at the hologram. Humans cannot be trusted with advanced technology. They immediately use it for domination. Marcus's hologram smiled. An interesting perspective, Director, considering what we discovered in your personal files. The hologram gestured, and new images appeared throughout the chamber, documents, recordings, and evidence floating in midair. Contingency plans for the containment or elimination of 17 different species the Council deemed potentially threatening. Weapons development programs that violate the very accords the Council enforces on others, and most damning, the systematic suppression of technologies that might allow member worlds to achieve true independence. Murmurs of shock and outrage spread through the chamber as representatives recognized their own species in Krell's secret files. This is manipulation, Krell protested. Fabricated evidence. Is it? Asked Marcus calmly. I invite any representative to examine the quantum signature of these documents. They are authentic, extracted directly from Council archives. Councillor Threll slithered forward, his serpentine body coiling with agitation. Even if these allegations are true, Ambassador, this display of force against the Council itself is an act of war. Not war. Councillor, revolution. Marcus's hologram expanded, filling more of the chamber with blue light. For too long, the Council has operated on fear. Fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of what member species might become if given true freedom. He gestured again, and the holographic display changed to show the Mars array, now pulsing with blinding energy. In exactly 45 minutes, the quantum emergence begins. The Mars array will harmonize the quantum frequency across all of human space, creating a dimensional shift that will allow our species to evolve beyond current physical limitations. And what of the rest of us? Demanded Zira, her gaseous form barely visible in the dim light. That depends on you, replied Marcus. Every species in this chamber faces a choice: join humanity in this evolution or remain behind. We offer this gift freely to any who wish to receive it. Gift? Krell laughed harshly. More likely a trap. The moment we accept your gift, we become subordinate to human control. You project your own methods onto us, Director, Marcus said coldly. Unlike the Council, we do not seek to control others. We seek partnership with those willing to embrace a new future. As he spoke, the chamber's systems suddenly reactivated. Lights returned, environmental controls stabilized, and communication devices chimed with incoming messages. Your technology has been restored, announced Marcus. Use it to contact your homeworlds. Consult with your governments. Decide whether your species will join humanity and what comes next. His hologram began to fade. You have 40 minutes to decide. On the command deck of the Prometheus, Admiral Jimenez watched as the quantum shields around Earth and Mars repelled another barrage from rogue elements of the Guardian fleet. Despite Counselor Valaxis's orders to stand down, several vessels, likely under Krell's direct command, continued their assault. Quantum shields holding at 100%, reported Commander Jackson. Their weapons can't even touch us. Jimenez nodded, unsurprised. Status of the Mars array? Final synchronization phase underway. 38 minutes to emergence. She turned to the communication station. And Ambassador Reed successfully delivered the message to the Council. The quantum disruption worked perfectly. Their systems were offline for exactly 30 seconds before we restored minimal functionality. Jimenez smiled slightly. Just enough to make our point without causing harm. On the main view screen, the Mars array dominated the view. Massive interlocking rings surrounding the red planet, energy cascading between them in increasingly complex patterns. 70 years of secret development, of playing the compliant junior partner to the Council, had led to this moment. Admiral, called out the sensor officer, we're detecting quantum fluctuations from several Council worlds. They're attempting to synchronize with our frequency. Jimenez's eyebrows rose in surprise. So soon, which worlds? Proxima Centauri III, Tau Ceti Prime, and Crystallis. Valaxis's homeworld, Jimenez mused. Interesting. Commander Jackson approached, lowering his voice. Admiral, what exactly will happen when the emergence begins? The crew is nervous. Jimenez met his gaze steadily. Transcendence, Commander. Our consciousness will evolve beyond physical limitations. We'll maintain our individuality, our humanity, but gain access to dimensions and perceptions currently beyond our comprehension. And those who choose not to participate? Continue as before, she replied simply. We're not forcing anyone to join us, not even our own people. That's the fundamental difference between us and the Council. We offer choice. The communications officer interrupted. Admiral, urgent message from Earth. President Liang requests to address all human vessels before emergence. Jimenez nodded. Put her through. The view screen shifted to show President Liang, the elected leader of the United Earth government. Her expression was solemn but determined. Citizens of Earth and her colonies, she began, today marks the culmination of humanity's greatest scientific achievement. The quantum emergence represents not just a technological revolution, but an evolutionary one. As she spoke, Jimenez noticed the timer in the corner of the screen, 35 minutes remaining. Some among you may feel fear, continued the president. That is natural. We stand at the threshold of the unknown. But remember this, throughout our history humanity has faced the unknown with courage and emerged stronger. The Council sought to contain us, to limit our potential. Today we demonstrate that the human spirit cannot be contained, and yet we extend our hands in friendship, not domination. Any species willing to join us will be welcomed as equals in what comes next. She paused, her gaze seeming to meet each viewer personally. The choice is yours. Those who wish to remain as they are may do so. Those who choose to evolve, prepare yourselves for emergence. The transmission ended. Returning the view screen to the image of the Mars array, its energy patterns growing increasingly complex as the countdown continued. In his private sanctuary aboard the Council station, Director Krell worked frantically to salvage his plans. The humans had outmaneuvered him, neutralizing the planet-killer weapons and exposing his secret files to the Council. "Sir?" Tix approached cautiously. "Several Council worlds are attempting to synchronize with the human quantum frequency. They're actually joining them." Krell slammed all four fists onto his desk. "Fools, they have no idea what they're embracing." "The evidence suggests the humans have tested this technology thoroughly," Tix ventured. "Perhaps." "No." Krell cut him off. "No species masters quantum manipulation this quickly without consequences. The humans are missing something, overlooking some critical danger." He turned to his private terminal, one of the few systems not affected by the human quantum disruption. Special shielding, developed in secret over decades, had protected it. "There's still time," he muttered, entering a complex series of commands. "Contingency Omega failed, but Contingency Epsilon remains." "Sir?" Tix sounded alarmed. "Contingency Epsilon was never approved by the Council." "The Council is compromised," Krell replied coldly. "Fascinated by human promises of evolution and transcendence. Someone must protect the galaxy, even if the Galaxy Council's terror, humanity's ominous silence. Part 5. The vibration within the Council chamber intensified as the countdown approached 15 minutes. Representatives from species who had chosen to synchronize with the human quantum frequency reported increasingly strange sensations, colors beyond their normal perception spectrum, sounds that seemed to bypass their auditory organs, and a growing awareness of patterns previously invisible. Ambassador Marcus Reed stood calmly at the center of the chamber, monitoring the process through his quantum neural implant. Beside him, Eliza's eyes had taken on an unusual luminescence as her consciousness began expanding into new dimensions. 15 minutes to full emergence," announced the computerized voice throughout the station. "Director." Krell moved through the crowd toward Counselor Valaxis, his copper face set with determination. He needed to get the crystalline being away from the humans before his plan unfolded. "Counselor," he whispered urgently, "I must speak with you privately, immediately." Valaxis turned, his crystalline form pulsing with complex light patterns. "What is it, Director?" "This is hardly the time for—" "It concerns the survival of the Council itself," Krell interrupted. "Please." After a moment's hesitation, Valaxis followed Krell to a quiet corner of the chamber. The Director's 4 hands trembled slightly as he spoke. "I've deployed a quantum resonance disruptor," he said, voice barely audible. "It will strike the Mars array in approximately 15 minutes, destabilizing the entire network." Valaxis's crystalline edges sharpened with shock. "You did what? Without Council authorization?" "The Council is compromised," Krell insisted. "Nearly 70% of our members are willingly subjecting themselves to an untested human technology. Someone had to act. By potentially starting a war?" Valaxis's voice was cold. "If this disrupts their emergence, it will save countless lives," Krell cut in. "The humans don't understand the forces they're manipulating." "The precursors were not humans," finished Valaxis. "You've always underestimated this species, Director. That may prove your final mistake." Before Krell could respond, a hand fell on his shoulder. He turned to find Marcus Reed standing behind him, expression grave. "We detected your weapon the moment it launched, Director," Marcus said quietly. "Did you really think we wouldn't be monitoring quantum disruption technology?" Krell's copper skin paled. "How?" "The same way we neutralized your planet killers." Marcus gestured to a nearby display which showed the quantum disruptor suddenly changing course, veering away from Mars toward empty space. "Quantum entanglement allows us to manipulate objects at a distance." "Impossible," whispered Krell. "The energy requirements alone would be beyond anything the Council has ever achieved," agreed Marcus. "But not beyond humanity." Suddenly, the vibrations throughout the chamber intensified dramatically. Representatives who had synchronized with the quantum frequency gasped collectively, many dropping to their knees or equivalent appendages. "What's happening?" demanded Valaxis. "The countdown shows 12 minutes remaining." Marcus smiled slightly. "The emergence is accelerating. Your quantum disruptor attempt has actually catalyzed the process, Director. The defensive response from our network has increased quantum coherence across all participating consciousnesses." The displays around the chamber changed to show the Mars array, where the energy patterns had reached blinding intensity, quantum cascades flowing through the massive rings faster than the eye could track. 8 minutes to emergence, announced the computerized voice, contradicting the official countdown. You've doomed us all, Krell whispered, his copper face frozen in horror. No, Director. Marcus shook his head. You've simply accelerated our evolution, and yours, if you'd chosen to join us. Throughout the chamber, participating representatives began experiencing the first true effects of quantum consciousness expansion. Their perception stretched beyond normal space-time, allowing them to see quantum probabilities as tangible patterns. Some reported sensing the thoughts of others not through telepathy, but through quantum entanglement of consciousness. Counselor Zira, who had chosen to synchronize, floated near the ceiling. Her gaseous form now shot through with patterns of light that seemed to exist in more dimensions than should be possible. I see it, she announced, her voice resonating strangely. The quantum lattice, the underlying structure of reality itself. Counselor Threll, who had rejected synchronization, watched with a mixture of fear and fascination. What is happening to them? He demanded. Transcendence, replied Eliza, whose eyes now shone with inner light. Their consciousness now exists partially in quantum space, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. 5 minutes to emergence, announced the system. Marcus turned to address the entire chamber once more. What you're witnessing is just the beginning. When full emergence occurs, participating consciousness will expand beyond current dimensional limitations while maintaining physical presence in this reality. And those who did not choose to participate? Asked Valaxis, who had also declined synchronization. We'll continue as before, Marcus assured him. We do not force this evolution on anyone. That is the fundamental difference between humanity and the Council, Counselor. We offer choice, not control. As he spoke, every display in the chamber suddenly flickered, then stabilized, showing a new image. Earth, surrounded by a shimmering quantum field that pulsed in perfect harmony with the Mars array. Earth quantum synchronization complete, announced the system. 3 minutes to emergence. Director Krell made one last desperate attempt. He lunged toward Marcus, pulling a concealed weapon from beneath his clothing. I won't let you. Before he could finish, Krell froze in mid-motion, his body suddenly immobilized by an invisible force. Marcus hadn't moved, hadn't even flinched. Quantum manipulation at the molecular level, Marcus explained calmly, as Krell struggled against invisible bonds. One of the first applications we mastered. With a gesture, Marcus caused the weapon to disassemble itself in Krell's hand, components floating away harmlessly. Your fear has blinded you, Director, Marcus said almost gently. You could have been part of something magnificent. Instead, you chose to remain trapped in old patterns of control and domination. 2 minutes to emergence, came the announcement. Throughout the chamber, participating representatives now glowed with internal light. Not physical luminescence, but the visual manifestation of consciousness expanding beyond normal dimensional constraints. Valaxis moved closer to Marcus, his crystalline form refracting the strange new energies filling the room. Ambassador, I still question the wisdom of this evolution, but I acknowledge your right to choose it. What becomes of the Council now? That depends on the Council, replied Marcus. Those who have joined the emergence will retain their physical forms and positions, but their perspective will be expanded. They may choose to continue participating in Council governance, or they may pursue new paths. And humanity's role? Partnership, not dominance, Marcus said firmly. We have no interest in controlling the Council or its members. Our focus will be on exploration, not just of physical space, but of dimensional realities previously inaccessible. 1 minute to emergence, announced the system. The vibration throughout the chamber reached its peak. Those synchronized with the quantum frequency began to perceive reality in entirely new ways, seeing the quantum probability waves that underlie all matter, sensing the connection between all consciousness, experiencing time as a dimension that could be perceived in its entirety rather than moment by moment. 30 seconds, came the countdown. Marcus turned to Eliza, their eyes meeting in silent communication. Through their quantum neural link, they shared the culmination of 70 years of planning, of hiding humanity's true potential, of preparing for this moment of transcendence. 10 seconds. Throughout human space, Earth, Mars and every colony world, billions of humans experience the same countdown, the same building sensation of consciousness expansion. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A wave of quantum energy surged through the Mars array, cascading across the entangled network that connected all participating consciousnesses. In the council chamber, synchronized representatives gasped collectively as their awareness expanded beyond normal dimensional constraints. For a moment, time itself seemed to pause, a single instant stretched to infinity as consciousness transcended its physical limitations. Then, gradually, normal perception returned but fundamentally changed. Expanded, transformed, those who had synchronized could still see the physical world. But now they also perceived the quantum underpinnings of reality, probability waves, entangled particles, dimensional intersections previously invisible. Marcus opened his eyes, which now shimmered with inner light. He could see the quantum signatures of everyone in the chamber, the complex patterns of those who had synchronized, the simpler but still beautiful patterns of those who remained unchanged. "Emergence complete," he announced, his voice carrying harmonic overtones imperceptible to non-synchronized hearing. "The quantum network is stable. All participating consciousnesses successfully transcended." Throughout the chamber, synchronized representatives were exploring their new perceptions with wonder and excitement. Some could communicate directly through quantum entanglement, sharing thoughts without speaking.